A great weekend for the Utah Hockey Club as they get the sweep from Buffalo to Philadelphia. They come up with a couple of wins. Tom Callahan, Robyn Leaño, we're going to break down the weekend and talk about even the special teams clicking. Things look pretty good right now on the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast.
You are Locked On Utah Hockey Club, your daily podcast on the Utah Hockey Club, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast, your first listen every single day for what's going on with the UHC. I'm former NHL voice Tom Callahan, joined by longtime team analyst Robyn Leaño, and we are going to break down a couple of big wins for the Utah Hockey Club over the Buffalo Sabres and Philadelphia Flyers this weekend. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Well, Robyn, I always say this, and I'm going to lead with this again, just because, number one, I know that we have a lot of first-timers. We have a lot of long-timers, and thank you. But if you're a first-timer, welcome. We are very pleased to have you here. But the old axiom in hockey, and really any sport goes, if you're 750 at home, meaning you're winning, 3 out of every 4 games, maybe you're 2 out of 3, 666, and you go 500 on the road, that makes you a playoff team. Mm-hmm. Well, right now, the Utah Hockey Club just picked up a couple of huge wins on the road this weekend. Sunday's game was a 4-2 win over the Flyers, and then Saturday's game at the Buffalo Sabres, a 5-2 win. So a couple of things to like there. Low goals against, high goals for, and they're doing it on the road.
You know, it feels really good to be talking about a couple of wins, right? I think after how the last, I'd say the last few weeks, several weeks have gone for the UHC. It seems like a lot. We did feel a little, not necessarily doom and gloom was the right term. I felt like we felt as you were saying, we felt like disappointed. We felt just disappointed because of the way things were going and the way things looked. And so the UHC needed a couple of wins. They needed some important wins, and I think getting one over Buffalo and over Philadelphia is not only just a good win to have, especially as you said on the road, but it's a good confidence booster. Maybe they needed just those back-to-back wins, especially again back-to-back nights, to be able to just get back on to get their confidence back and kind of get back in the groove.
You talk about the disappointment that we felt earlier in the year, and the reason is you and I both look at this team, look at the talent on this team, having watched them for years now develop. And I know now, granted, you were a little more optimistic than me at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
But feeling like, hey, these guys are going to take a step forward. It's their time. They're going to start to shine this year. And it was so inconsistent. Has been still. I mean, 2 wins in a row is nice, but don't by any means think problems are solved. But they look better. And to me, that's where my disappointment was. So now, if they begin to put together more consistent efforts, more consistent games, 60-minute efforts, Robyn, I think we're taking the steps in the right direction that I know certainly you and I and a lot of other people were hoping they would take this year.
And I think the hope, too, is that, and again, this is the hope you can make out of any sports team whether it be the coach delivering the message or the captain's delivering the message or just them learning it on their own, that of what works for this team and how they can keep fine-tuning things. All right, let's try this again. Well, this seemed to work for us really, really well. Let's try this again.
Yep, I like that. And I think that this weekend was success repeating itself. Now, I'm going to click over to look at the standings here and just talk to you about not only as of the end of these 2 games where Utah is, which, by the way, is 4 points out of the final wild card, but looking at where the Buffalo Sabres are and looking at where the Flyers are, they're both on the outside looking in, but the Flyers are 1 point out of the wild card. The Sabres are now 4 points out, and they were in the wild card a couple of weeks ago. But those are two teams, Robyn, the point I want to make, that you should beat. They are teams that are near you in the standings, could be a little above or a little below you in the standings. And for Utah to beat both of those teams shows another factor in taking a step forward to me. You need to be able to beat all of those teams around you on a consistent basis. And right now, outside of the wild card in the West, is Calgary, Seattle, St. Louis, San Jose, Anaheim, Nashville, and Chicago. If those are the teams on the outside looking in, you need to be able to beat those teams with consistency and on a regular basis. And so I know we're going to get back to the West here in this coming week, next couple of weeks worth of schedule, but you know what? Even when you go East, I mean, these two teams don't see each other a lot. So there's not a lot of, I guess, predetermined animosity. So each team has to go out and make its way as far as how are they going to accept the challenge and then try to win the game.
Yeah, and I feel like you again you try to look at that as as that challenge, but B, you just like I said earlier, I mean, you take these wins and you're able to learn from each of those aspects and say, hey, this is what we're this is what we learned against the Sabres. It might not work against these guys, but let's watch and see who's similar, who's not. We're probably not going to see we're not going to see the Sabres again anytime soon or whatever. But heck, let's see how similar they are to this team or that team.
One of the things that I look for Utah to do, and they're starting to do, well, number one is actually I got 2 points here. Spread out the scoring is number one.
Yes.
Which is starting to happen more. And I like that. We're distributing the scoring. But number two, they're starting to get those dirty area goals. I feel like a broken record, Robyn. Filter pucks to the front of the net, get bodies to the front of the net. Shots either go in because the goalie can't see them, or there's rebounds, there's scrambles. Win those battles. Win the physical battles. A physical battle doesn't have to mean you lay a guy out with a big hit every time. It means you outwork the other team. And they're starting to get those goals. They're hustling to pucks and making plays. They're picking their head up a little more. They're starting to look around and thread the pucks through and take advantage of these things. I like that so much better than what we were seeing even 2 weeks ago.
It's one of the things I like to say too. Not only that, but it's and then it's funny because it's something I tell my team all the time. It's focus, attack the boards. I think getting aggressive up there in the corners. It's gonna kind of like it's gonna literally put people in a corner. They have to figure out they make a freak move that could force a turnover, right? And that could end up going good for Utah. They can set up something. One guy that they're almost essentially down a guy because that kind of they forced a bad play from that corner. You can set up a good play for Utah, get some good offensive scoring chances going here. I want to see more of that. Get more aggressive up there, get more, do what you can to kind of force it. And again, it doesn't have to mean get those bigger hits or do whatever, but it's being able to get into those areas that really is going to try. That's going to provide an opportunity for those better plays.
How many of our listeners and/or viewers went the same place I went and went, nobody puts baby in a corner? I think a few people probably did. Nobody puts Robyn in a corner. So if anybody gets that Dirty Dancing reference, good for you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Robyn, you know what? That is the important thing. And the other important thing is to support your teammates and do it in the proper way. Don't get underneath the puck. You want the puck side high support. When I talk about that means that you're between your own goal and the puck. If you're able to get into the pile, then back that pile up. If the puck comes up the wall, the outlet isn't necessarily there on a defensive puck recovery because you're in the way of it. If you are behind that, if you are between the puck and the other team's goal or the end wall on the other side, and the puck comes out, it's a much easier clear for the defensive zone team. So that's why it's important not only to have that proper positioning, but also the support that comes in to help you win those battles. And I think Utah Hockey Club is getting better at that. And maybe it has to do with some guys being more comfortable in their roles, or just kind of, I don't know, just finding their way. I mean, we're into December now, right? So, you really should be hitting your stride as an individual and a team at this point.
Maybe for all we know, something just randomly clicked and was like, you know what? I think this is what Bill meant for the Bill Armstrong way.
Maybe. That'd be nice. I mean, I still would like to see a little bit more physical play, but hey.
Just a little bit more, but hey, maybe that's the lesson learned here.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Speaking of Bill Armstrong, one of his acquisitions is heating up a little bit offensively. Not what we expected, but Kevin Stenland, how about it? Goals in back-to-back games. We're going to talk about that here in just a moment.
Hey, and today's episode is brought to you by Mint Mobile. I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to save a few bucks. It has to be easy. No hoops, no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it. Turns out, it really is that easy to get wireless for $15 a month. The longest part of the process, the time I spent on hold waiting to break up with my old provider, especially how much I had to pay for them to get out of that contract, or how much that they wanted me to pay for to get out of the contract. It was brutal. But hey, Mint Mobile made it so much easier. You guys can check it out yourself. To get started, go to mintmobile.com/LockedOnNHL, and you'll see it right there. All 3-month plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. All plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk, text, delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use the phone anytime with Mint Mobile. You can use your own phone, with a Mint Mobile plan, and bring your own phone number along with your existing contacts. You don't have to text everyone, say, "Hey, new phone, who this?" Find out how easy it is to switch to Mint Mobile and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer, check and get your 3-month wireless plan for just $15 a month. Go to mintmobile.com/LockedOnNHL. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNHL. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNHL. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on a 3-month plan only. Speeds slower above 40 gigabytes unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. And today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Talk about how let's put it this way. Game Time has has an amazing thing called Game Picks. Makes getting tickets for your live events faster and easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff, so it shows you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You can take a look at any kind of upcoming event, whether it's a NFL game or an MLB game. It doesn't have to be sports. You can even look. Maybe there's a comedy show in your area. Maybe there's a concert in your area. Maybe there's monster trucks. I don't know what you're into, whatever kind of event, but Game Time definitely has it. And you can take a look. All really easy. They got some amazing other features other than that Game Time Picks I mentioned to you. They also got all-in pricing. Toggle this feature up front. You do have to toggle it on. It's going to be, and I guarantee it's going to help you out in the long run, because when you toggle this on, you get no surprise fees at checkouts. You get your opportunity to get panoramic view from your seats, so you know exactly what you're going to expect before you buy the ticket, plus their lowest price guaranteed. Game Time will credit you 110% the difference if you find the ticket lower elsewhere. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time.
All right, we are back, and we are just, you know what, Robin? I was going to say excited, but I think I'm going to
Mhm.
change my word. We
Okay.
are almost entering hopeful. Yes, you can be excited about winning 2 games, but I am hopeful now that perhaps the Utah Hockey Club has turned a bit of a corner. And I talked about the distributed scoring, right?
Mhm.
Kevin Stenland, how about it? Like, I love the guy's work ethic, bears down in the faceoff circle, wins you draws, and then scores against Buffalo, and then against Philly on Sunday, takes advantage of a miscue for a shorty that was an absolute dagger at the end of the third period against the Flyers. Just, I mean, a knife straight through the Flyers symbol.
Mhm.
I love it. I love to see a guy like that getting rewarded. And the best part is you can see how the teammates get excited. It's also cool to see the Coolies and Gunthers and Schmaltzes of the world scoring and contributing. And
They're expected to score.
right, but when you get your fourth line involved on back-to-back games and then your penalty kill, they also scored a goal on the power play against Philly that was a
Mhm.
thing of beauty. I mean, I am hopeful that maybe in all 3 phases of the game, they're starting to take steps forward now.
And they're realizing what might work for them, and they're just getting that confidence. And I feel like, again, seeing scoring from your fourth line is huge. We've talked about I think we've talked about it, and so many other people, no matter like so many shows, so many hockey analysts will tell you that a hockey team really has a lot of importance and a lot of weight really toward the fourth line. People don't really appreciate the fourth line as much, or the fourth line is quote underappreciated. That's what a lot of people say, because a fourth line can really win you a Stanley Cup. It can, if you have a really strong fourth line, it could. And again, I'm not trying to get everyone extremely hopeful here and saying that's what I'm seeing here, but what I'm saying is when you're getting that kind of production, it does give you that hope. It does. It's like, okay, we're getting scoring from everywhere. And as you mentioned, alongside the other aspects in special teams, you want to see those those hammer down and get what you want to expect from there. It shows that we're starting to see a complete team, a team that knows exactly how to put every single aspect of the hockey game together. Before we're looking like, okay, this is good, but this needs serious work. This needs serious work. They're starting to figure things out, and it definitely does give you, and I think had the right term for it, hope. It gives hope.
A couple of things too that I want to underscore here is that the penalty kill was 3 for 3 against the Sabres, 2 for 2 against the Flyers. They didn't have a power play against the Sabres, which, if I'm going to nitpick, that's my nitpick on the weekend is you should somewhere in there, even though you score 5 even strength goals, probably should have generated a power play. But sometimes in those matinee games, you never know. But against the Flyers, they go 1 for 3. So I like the special teams on balance this weekend. I think that's a great look for them. And the other thing, Robin, if anybody noticed the numbers I just gave out, they were only shorthanded 5 times in 2 games. That's pretty
Yes.
good, because that means you're moving your feet, you're hustling, you're not taking penalties because you're not moving, you're being lazy or any of that. Like, you're being shorthanded 2 or 3 times in a game is actually really pretty good.
You hit something absolutely perfectly, Tom. And talking about that, take a look at the difference of what we're seeing from a UHC team that takes much fewer penalties versus a UHC team that we've known as the most penalized team in the National Hockey League. When they take so many penalties in the game, what happens? They lose momentum. They start chasing. We see a disaster. These last couple games, you mentioned, you take a look at those at the amount of penalty kills they had. All of a sudden, this team looks better. They look more complete. Wow.
Are you saying that there's correlation there, Robin?
It seems like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it sure does, doesn't it? It's something to behold. And you know what? It's great because you're not tiring yourself out killing penalties. Even if you kill them off successfully, when you're doing it 5 times a night, it takes a toll on you. You get tired. And then if you need a push at the end of the game, Or if you need and often your momentum guys are your penalty killers because they're your hardest workers. So if you need to call on those guys at the end of the game and their legs are spent through no fault of their own, they're just not going to be able to give you the 100% that you need in the last 3 minutes of a hockey game. Now, whether it's defending a lead, whether it's a tie game, maybe if you're pushing for a lead, you've got some of your more skilled players obviously out there on the ice, but still you can have a momentum line out there 4 minutes to go trying to grab, that energy back and really set the tone for the rest of regulation. So it makes a difference. It really does, no matter what the scenario.
And there's a flip side to that too, is if you're getting so many penalties and are on a penalty kill for so long, your goal scorers, you're not going to have them on. You're trying to have more of a defensive minded, a more shutdown, minded for your penalty kill. Your goal scorers, they might have so many time off the ice that they cool down. They get a little tense. So when they finally get back on the ice, they can't warm themselves back up enough.
Yeah, it's tough too to manage those minutes, and that is on Andre Tourigny to make sure he's managing those minutes. But Robin, remember a couple of weeks ago, actually, boy, we're talking almost a month ago now, when Andre Tourigny twice in 3 games talked about how much he was disappointed with the effort. This wasn't the way he wanted his team to play. They no-showed a couple of games, and they were beaten pretty badly, and the coach was clearly embarrassed. I don't think they've had that problem recently. I think the message has come across now. And again, Sabres and Flyers, I know they're not playoff teams, but they're teams you got to beat. And they did. So that, to me, huge plus, step forward.
It is a huge plus and step forward. What this team needs to do is they need to keep it up. The question is, can they keep it up? We've talked about multiple times the consistency of this team is, and as the term that I've used a couple times already this season, and many times in seasons past when I covered the Coyotes, was consistently inconsistent. We know there's those highs and they have those lows. Can they keep themselves from reaching lows again, and can they only go up from here?
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we talk about that here in just a minute? Today's show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Robin, the road ahead, and 2 of the 3 games are on the road ahead, is not the easiest for Utah. They come home for 1, so heading back for Tuesday, and they're going to host the Wild. That is the surprising Minnesota Wild, by the way. Might be a good chance for fans to see Marc-Andre Fleury. Hopefully he gets the start. Always cool to see Flower out there in his victory lap here around the NHL. But Minnesota is a surprise playoff team. Then you're on the road at Colorado. Tough place to play, tough place to win. And then they finish off on Saturday with the San Jose Sharks. And I will let you talk about the San Jose Sharks because that is your bailiwick.
It's my childhood team. And then I will say this, and I feel like it's going to be an interesting game because I think ever since the Utah's lost the Sharks had been heating up themselves. They got they had some nice wins out there. They've been looking better for some reason.
They do have a pretty good rookie on their team, I've heard.
Oh yeah, Macklin Celebrini getting those. He's been fantastic. He's
okay.
Yeah. Not to mention, I think it as a whole, that team's feeling it outside of Macklin Celebrini. There's a couple other guys on that team who I could certainly give credit to, but I think that they're a better team than I think everyone expected. mean, they're still the Sharks. They're still not a good team. But I think going into this, and I think especially after what happened last time, Utah definitely is not going to write them off again. They're like, okay, we're not making the same mistakes because that was atrocious last time.
Here's the thing about the Sharks, too. They're 10-15-5, but 0-4 in shootouts. What if they were 2-2 in shootouts? They'd have 4 more points. They'd be at 29. They would be, are you ready? 3 points out of a wild card.
Unbelievable.
Isn't that something? And we expected them to be the doormat. So, so to your point, you can't look past anyone, and we're talking about a Minnesota team that is now tied for the lead of the Central, but technically by win percentage is in front. They played 2 less games than the Winnipeg Jets, who've already reached 20-win plateau, but Minnesota 18-5-4. 40 points. Both those teams are at 40 points. And that's a big place to be right now. The other team at 40 points in the NHL, by the way, no one's going to guess this. The Washington Capitals. Where did the Caps come from? But so you have the division winner coming in, or the division leader. I'm not handing him the title yet. And then a tough Colorado team that has started slowly, but is now starting to figure it out. They're starting to look a little better. They actually made a trade for a goaltender. They brought in Scott Wedgwood, and Wedgwood pitched a shutout now over the weekend. And
this squad and many players on this squad for Utah, they're familiar with the way Scott Wedgwood works.
Yes. And I mean, he's a journeyman, but he's gone into a lot of places and plugged some holes. We've seen him plug a hole in New Jersey. We've seen it in this organization. We've seen it in a lot of different places. Now we're seeing it in Colorado after he got traded there from Nashville. So, we're in a difficult stretch of the schedule, but coming in with confidence, and I like that. And now, Robyn, again, you want to take a big step forward. Show me that you can beat, or at least hang with, the Wild, the Avalanche, where the Avs are in the standings right now. And I know I just said they're resurgent. They are, but where they are in the standings right now, you should have a contest with them. And then you do need to take care of the Sharks, because you have to beat everybody around you that's not in the playoffs if you want to get in the playoffs.
And especially to kind of get back on the rebound after the poor, November that they had, right? They need to, they need to get not to say that it's like winter, it's live or die situation, but it is in the sense where like if they go 0 for 3, right? That looks really bad. That takes the confidence that they just got over this weekend and instantly shoots it right back down and to where they were.
Yeah,
they need to try to build on the confidence and the momentum that they have, and maybe they can fix things. And again, not necessarily mean winning all of them. It means winning probably winning a couple of them, maybe 1 or 2. But at the end, but still getting at least as you mentioned, hanging with some with the tougher ones, and whether it's. Are you able to take them to a shootout, not necessarily a shootout, but they were able to take them to overtime? Or you're just able to give it a full 60 minutes and really keep it close the entire way?
Well, back to one of our favorite buzzwords, consistency.
Exactly.
That's right where I go back to with this. I mean, that is exactly what you're saying. So, but I think they're in a good spot.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It goes back to what we were also saying too, is let's see how well they can do in maintaining those penalties. Well,
right. Staying out of the box is huge. You will go a long way towards winning games when you do not take penalties. So amen to that. Absolutely. So you know what? I think unless I'm sure you might have something else you want to bring up at this point. I did want to ask you, Robyn, I want to go away from the Utah Hockey Club because you're wearing a jersey.
Yes.
That has a letter on it. And we've not seen this particular jersey before. So would you please indulge us and explain?
Yeah, so those that haven't really followed me as long enough, I do play hockey myself, and I play in a local league, local adults league here in Arizona, where I still live. And earlier this season, I was named the captain of my team. So our team color is pink, so this is my pink jersey for my team, and the C has been bestowed upon me. I finally got my C patch. It came in, and I got it sewed on because, it shows, hey, I'm the captain of this team, and it feels good to say that. It feels good to show that I've taken a step in this world, Tom.
You have a big leadership step. So I just wanted to take a moment to appreciate that. Congratulations. And
Thank you.
looks good on the jersey. Looks good.
It does look good. I feel like it looks good. I feel like it feels good too.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that's
The
very
compliments
cool.
I got on Saturday too were great. She's like, "You've got the letter on your jersey," and I'm like, "Yes, I did. It feels great."
Nice. Bravo, Robyn, bravo. That's awesome. No, seriously, I think it's great, and I did want to take a moment to point it out. And always appreciate seeing what jerseys in the collection now. And so this is the latest, and it's got the C on it now. So when the auction happens at the end of the season for the official game-worn jersey, we'll have everybody in on that one. They'll be like, "Does it have the C on it, though?" Yes, it does. So that's awesome. All right. Well, so looking forward, then we've got those 3 games coming up this week. I know, Robyn, you and I are going to talk quite a bit about those as they draw a little closer. You're probably catching this episode on a Monday. Tuesday, we'll have the game preview for the Minnesota Wild coming your way as well. And you know what? I'm looking forward to that one. I really am. I think that's going to be a great test. And the Wild are a bit of a surprising team. I'm trying to watch them a little bit more now, Robyn, to figure out what it is exactly they're doing right that has them challenging for that top spot night in, night out.
It will certainly be interesting to watch. And I feel like, when we're so focused on the Utah Hockey Club, we don't get enough time to appreciate some of these other teams in the division.
It's now look, I'm crazy. I try to do the multi-screen or put up as many games as I can. And I've discovered, and this is a tip for you, on Xbox, if you stream ESPN, you can get up to 4 games at once. I don't know if anybody knew this because you can't really do that anywhere else that
Right.
I've found. You can't do it on your tablet or your laptop or just through your smart TV, but you can through the Xbox. So I do a lot of quad box watching or at least triple box watching of games. And you know what? Even when I'm trying to pay attention to all of them, I mean, inevitably, you're going to miss something that happened in some game and you're not going to see the whole thing, but we're trying.
Yeah. See, it's interesting because you mentioned, quad box. As much as I love like quad boxes, triple boxes, whatever, because it looks cool, I can never do it because I've got a terrible attention span or my ADHD will just go wild and I'll end up hyper fixating on one box for like 10 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's right. There's other stuff going on.
That's interesting. So what I will do to at least make me move around a little bit, I put the sound on one game and I watch another one. And then when the sound, because I'm obviously trained as a commentator, I could tell by the inflection in the announcer's voice most of the time if I need to look back at the other one. Then when that one goes to commercial, I switch the audio to another game, and then I switch to the other box. So if I have upper left audio, I'm looking at lower right game, then I'll switch to upper right audio, look at lower left game. That's how I kind of move my way around.
You make a good point about that, Tom, because as someone who went to school for that very thing, for broadcasting, and did a little bit when I was in college football and basketball, but it still counts. Still counts. I think the same concept. I was able to learn through those inflections, but at the same time, my ADHD still is like I would end up hyper fixating at some point.
So one game, one box. That's all we can handle.
I might still have something on my laptop and something on my TV, but it's as you mentioned that I'll have the sound on the TV and like silent on my laptop, and I'll be watching the laptop, and then I'm like.
Yep. The things we do to try to keep ourselves current here on the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. I hope everybody appreciates it.
We do everything.
Yes, absolutely. So, all right, Robyn, I think it's time for you to take us out here.
Yep. So that's going to be it for this episode of the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to give us a review, to leave a like, a comment, subscribe if you've yet to already. We are available everywhere you get your shows, including on YouTube, SiriusXM, ad-free on Amazon Music. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We are on Instagram, Threads, and X at LO_NHL Utah. Also on Blue Sky at Locked On Utah Hockey. I am personally at Robyn_Leaño on X and at Robyn Ice Time on Blue Sky. Tom, where can they find you?
So at Callahan on Air on Twitter, and I am still checking in here and there. You can also find me on Blue Sky at Tom Talks. And again, I'm slowly navigating everything over to the Blue Sky side. I'm on there a lot more, honestly, than I am on the Twitter side. So yeah, definitely catch me over on Blue Sky there. And feel free to interact with us. Send a message. I know I've talked to a couple of our fans over there who wanted to ask some questions and just talk some hockey. And I'm always willing to entertain, whether it's a question about something like a Hockey 101 or if it's something a little more complex or you're just looking for somebody to kind of shoot you an opinion. Hey, inbox is open.
It is 100% open. But once again, we hope you guys all enjoyed this episode. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.